What's happening, everyone? This is Let's Be Real Brad. Today on our Bond Tuesdays, well, Bond Wednesday, we'll be talking about the 13th Bond film, Octopussy. Before we start with this review, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, so that way you never miss a new fun and exciting video. Octopussy is a 1983 spy film and the 13th in the James Bond series, produced by Eon Productions. It was the 6th film to star Roger Moore as James Bond, with John Glenn back to direct the film. Eon Productions need to go big and try to be the best Bond film that year after going against the new Warner Brothers Kevin McClory production remake of Thunderball, Never Say Never Again. This film brought back Sean Connery out of retirement for one more Bond movie. The stakes were high and they had to make sure this one was great. Fortunately, this movie did make more money at the box office, garnering $187.5 million against the $160 million of Never Say Never Again. However, the quality of this movie isn't there for me. So far, it is one of the worst, but I know there is a cult following for this film, as there is with every Bond film, it seems. I found this new Bond entry to be another bland, formulaic, and silly spy movie that didn't do anything interesting or exciting to separate itself from any other Bond movie. Let's get right on to the negatives, starting with the story. The story itself is just so dull and not very interesting. A few aspects of it that I find interesting that we find out later in the film have some surprising twists, but I felt so disengaged from this film altogether. The writing is very dull and feels so dry. None of the jokes landed for me, that all felt forced and not the best in the series. The cheesy dialogue is too much for me, that doesn't feel clever or smart in any way, shape, or form. There are moments where Bond dresses up in very, let's say, exciting outfits that I thought ruined all the serious, dramatic credibility this film had. There are sections of this film filled with elongated dialogue that I didn't find interesting. The film is also very dull, which has been an issue for some of the Bond films, but I think this is the most boring one yet. The film isn't bad enough to make fun of it and roll your eyes at. It is merely a boring, lousy movie, which is the worst one. Roger Moore's performance is mixed for me because he's doing a stable job, but I think he doesn't have much to work with this time around, and probably being the best aspect of this movie. However, this isn't an excellent performance like we have seen of him in earlier films, so it feels like he loses his groove a little, which could be due to him getting much older as these movies go on. The other acting in the film is very stale and boring. The film does have a few positives, starting with the action sequences. With the budget of these Bond films going up, so does the action. The more visual and practical effects of it do keep me engaged and very exciting while watching, but unfortunately, the action isn't getting the same pass as it used to, consider we are in the mid-80s where a ton of action-heavy movies are starting to come out, where the action of this film still feels like an early 70s movie, which makes it all feel so cheesy. The opening title scene is quite good, that does somewhat connect to the story and feels very grand in scale. I do wish this opening's tone and excitement gushed their way into the rest of the film. The direction by John Glenn is very average. He doesn't do anything spectacular, capturing deep and great emotional scenes. Some of the scenes are put together in a cheesy way with how it zooms in on the characters at times that I thought were annoying. He does film the action scenes quite well, so I give him credit for that. After being absent in For Your Eyes Only due to tax problems, John Barry returned to do his 9th Bond score. Barry made frequent references to the James Bond theme to reinforce Octopussy as the official Bond film, given that the motif could not be featured in Never Say Never Again, and opted to include only subtle references to the music of India, avoiding instruments such as the sitar for feeling that authentic music didn't work dramatically. He also wrote the opening theme, All Time High, with lyricist Tim Rice. All Time High, sung by Rita Coolidge, is one of the 7 musical pieces in the James Bond series whose song titles do not refer to the film's title. The song itself is just okay. I don't care about it all that much. I would give it a neutral rating. Overall, this is a weak Bond entry that is formulaic, boring, and a repetitive spy film that feels like they were going for spectacle and big action scenes rather than focus on the characters and story to compete with the other Bond film releasing the same year. I know many people enjoyed this film all these years later, but I couldn't help noticing how dumb and incoherent this movie is. I'm giving this film a 4 out of 10. So, let me know down below in the comment section if you have seen Octopussy, and if you have, let me know what you think of it and where it ranks in your Bond film rankings. Next week, we will talk about the other 1983 Bond film that is non-official, Never Say Never Again, with Sean Connery's return, so make sure to check it out before the next video. As always, I will see you all in the next video.